Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Sylvia, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're gonna do a session where it's gonna be 30-minute length, 30-40 minutes. I would like you to practice it. The level is gonna start in beginners, then we're gonna move to intermediate. I will give you different options so you can see what is more suitable for your level. And please spend as long as you need to into your beginner asana and modification before to go to your intermediate level. No need to rush, it will take time. Build your strength into your basic asanas and then move on into your more intermediate advance. Please find a nice comfortable spot into your house and make sure you are in silence, nothing is disturbing you, and you have your yoga mat. If you wanna use, I recommend you to use blocks. I really like cork material blocks and a strap and a bolster or any kind of cushion that it helps you to maybe bring your hip bones a little bit higher in case you need it. So we're gonna start into our cross legs Tsukasana position. Just make sure you are comfortable. We're gonna place hands on top of the knees. Notice if there is any tension to your shoulders and they come maybe up, just drop them down. Taking deep inhales through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. You can change the breathing, so instead of exhaling through the mouth, you can exhale through the nose. Try both of them and notice that if you exhale through the nose, it sounds like the waves. Maybe it might calm you down a little bit more. It's very important to just spend a few minutes before your yoga routine doing some meditation, some breathing. Some time just coming into the present moment, noticing how you feel. If there is any part of your body that needs special attention. Notice if you need to be a bit more gentle with your body. Maybe with your thoughts as well. You might need to be a bit more subtle and gentle. Not be so rough when you don't ask too much. So as you feel more present into the now, start giving little movements to your shoulders, bringing them as high as you can towards your ears, bringing them back, trying to bring shoulder blade together, and then bring shoulders to the front, and keep making circles, opening and closing. Change direction, start coming forward and back. Exploring every single little adjustment and movement that your body is doing. Bringing your full attention to here, leaving the thoughts away. Maybe in the other room. And keep your shoulders still. bring attention to your neck, a very important area of your body where we tend to hold lots of tension, shoulders and neck. So we're going to lean our head towards the right, towards the middle and towards the left. Very gently. Maybe do a semicircle towards the left and towards the right. Maybe leaning the head back, starting to open your throat. And now we're going to bring our hands behind our head, interlocking fingers. And as you inhale, we're going to open the chest, bring elbows back. And as you exhale, drop your head down, elbows together. Feel the opening into your back of the throat, into the back of the neck. Inhale as you open. And exhale as you close. And lean forward. One more time. Inhale as you open. Release the hands. Give a nice shake to your hands. Start moving your upper body side to side. Unlocking some knots and some constructions and limitations that you might feel into your back. Just if it feels good. And from here, release the hands. Bring the right hand into the left knee and the left hand behind into the middle back. To the middle of that yoga mat. If it feels okay, you can bring the left hand around the waist into your inner thigh and rotate even a little bit more. Make sure the upper body is not doing anything, it's just relaxed. Spend as many circles of breath as it feels okay. Change towards the other side if it feels right for you. Left hand into the right knee and the right hand back. Maybe just into the middle, making sure the chest grows up. And maybe just wrapping the left hand around the waist into the inner thigh. With the next inhale, bring the hands all the way up towards the sky. And as you exhale, interlock the fingers and just reach as forward as you can. Tuck the head in between. Inhale as you reach up. Palms facing up, wrist pushing up, palm flat. And as you exhale, forward. Pulling shoulder blade apart. Inhale up. And exhale, forward. Inhale into the middle, and now the right hand is going to come towards the right hand side. The left hand is going to come up. We're going to just slide that hand, maybe bring elbow into the ground. If our opposite hip or knee it lifts, just remind yourself from going that much low and maybe stay a little bit higher. Just make sure you feel that stretch into your left ribs and breathe into it. Making sure we don't round and we close the chest, we keep it open. Our triceps close to our ear. And as we inhale, come all the way up, and as you exhale, change towards the other side. Inhale as you come towards the middle, and now both hands are going to come towards the front of the yoga mat, and knees are going to come into the ground. Start moving the hips a little bit side to side, warming up the hips, making circles, going as forward as you can, to the side, back. Loose up your neck. Don't feel afraid to just move their spine as it's asking you to move it. So your best teacher, you should be yourself, listening to what your body has to say. And now from here, we're gonna warm up our wrist. So we're gonna point the fingertips sideways and start moving a little bit side to side, keeping the base of your palms into the ground. Changing, and now fingertips pointing towards the middle, both of them. And one more time, just rocking a little bit side to side. Now the fingertips are going to be pointing towards your knees. And we're going to rock forward and back. Making sure the palms, they don't lift off from the ground. Being very gentle. Some of you might experience here more mobility, more range of movement, and that's okay. And some of you maybe less. So people who tend to spend lots of time on your PC, doing office job, you might feel that you need these stretches more often than other people. Then to get your stretch into your fingers, lift your palms as well off from the ground and feel the stretch into your fingers. Don't forget your thumbs, so just think about your thumb and point it towards you and leave the palms and the rest of the fingers. Or you can just sit back and do exactly the same, but just facing the palm up and just pressing those fingers down very gently. Thumb as well towards your wrist. Some of you can touch your wrist actually into your arm. I cannot. Change towards the other one. Nice, really good. Now, ankles. Let's give a special attention to your ankles. Tuck the toes and sit slightly a little bit back into your heels. With the next inhale, lean a little bit forward, and as you exhale one more time, as your toes are tucked, you sit back into the heels. Coming to the front of the yoga mat with your palms, tuck the toes, make sure you're into your table pose. And from here, as you inhale, lift the hips as high as you can. Heels on the ground, if only feels okay. So now in here, I'm going to explain the different levels. So your priority is to keep that back completely straight and to feel your wrist in line with your elbow, with your shoulder and with your hips. So you don't want your back popping up here. In order to avoid that, we're going to bend our knees and try to bring knees to chest and chest to knees. In there. And we're going to hold it in there. And if the heel is off from the ground, that's fine. Then with time, you will feel like you can bring the heel all the way down, maybe. Then if you feel like keeping the feet too close together is too challenging, we're going to open the feet a little bit wider, as wide as our hips maybe. And just focus on your spine, feeling the stretch into your shoulders. Your head must be hanging in between your arms. Taking a few breaths in here. And with time, more practice you get into your downward facing dog, you will actually use your downward facing dog as your resting position instead of your child pose. Then from here, just to take a little break, we're going to bring the knees towards the ground and get into your child pose. On your own timing, we're going to come back into our table pose. Tuck your toes and come back into your downward facing dog. Adjust it as you need it. And from here, different options. So you might feel like just maybe walking, baby steps, your feet forward and stay into your fold forward. You might feel like maybe stepping. So you bring the right knee in between the hands and then the left. You might feel like maybe lifting the right leg as high as you can and then stepping the right foot in between the hands and then the left. Or you might even feel like jumping maybe. So from here, we're going to look in between the hands, bend the knees, bring the hips as high as you can, and then step it in between the hands. So feel how is the best for you. Then wherever you are, come into your fold forward, stay in there. One more time here, your priority is your back to be completely relaxed, your belly to come towards your thigh. Then if you feel like your back is arching and is popping up, then you feel your hamstrings really tight. What we're gonna do is bend the knees. Try to keep your back as flat as possible. Check on the mirror if you have a mirror. Keep folding, folding until you come into your knees. Relax your arms down. Relax your head down. If you feel like you are quite flexible and you want a little bit more, you always can hold your ankles maybe and maybe get a little bit deeper in there. Bending the elbows towards the side and getting a little press in there so you get your head in between your legs. You can work this fold forward in different levels. So one of the things that you could do is bending the knees, starting from your squat position. And from here we're going to hold maybe the big toes with our 2 fingers. And holding the toes, as you inhale, you bend. As you exhale, is bring the hips as high as you can, bend elbows to the side, and tuck your head in between. If for any reason you cannot reach the toes, you always can use maybe a strap. Place it into the base of your toes. Hold the strap and start in the same position. Bend the knees. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, fold. Extend the legs as much as you can. Remember, don't round your back. Keep it flat. And get as deep as you can in there. And the last one that you could do is bending the knees, holding your calves or maybe your ankles as we did before. And as you exhale, keep your forearm really close to your calves and then get into your very deep fold forward. And you can repeat this circle of breath as you inhale, squat, and as you exhale, just fold forward. With the next inhale, rise up towards the sky. And as you exhale, palms in front of your chest. Relax the shoulders down, feel yourself really center. Bring the hands into your hips and make sure the pelvis is rotated forward. So I'm gonna just make a very obvious change difference between one position and the other one. So when the pelvis is not tucked, it feels like our bum is sticking out a lot, our lower back is arching a lot. and our shoulders are back. It's like some kind of sticking the bum out and pressing the chest forward, something like that. So we all tend to do it a lot, including myself. So it takes quite about a while to actually, because in here there's no glute engagement, it's just lots of pressure into your lower back. So what we're gonna do is bring the hands into your hips, and imagine you are squishing your buttocks and you are engaging your quadriceps, and suddenly it feels like the belly is tucking in and all is flat. And your glutes are super engaged. That's the difference. So I'm going to do it one more time. So I'm just going to let everything relax and just stick the bum back. And now what I want you to do is to notice the difference, what's happening here. That's it. So I want all of you to try to explore this movement. And all the time, in order to protect your lower back and to not carry on encouraging that lower back curve, that it might be quite, nice to look at sometimes, but it's not actually healthy for your lower back. And there is not engagement into your glutes, there's no workout in there. So let's do that. And once we are in there, inhale and rise the hands up. And now we're gonna try to feel like somebody is grabbing our wrist and pulling us up. That doesn't mean that we are squishing our ears. And we're gonna I'm gonna do it this way, so you can see it. So we are bringing our arms sideways of our head, and it just gives us lots of tension into your shoulders and trapeze. It's not okay. Okay, so what we're gonna try to do is actually leave a gap in between. Even you can try this technique. Place one of your hands in the gap in between your neck and your shoulder, and then try to reach as high as you can. So you want to try to keep all the time that gap in there. You don't want to bring it any closer. You see the difference between there and there. So that's what we want to do. At the same time, remember, we didn't lose the engagement to the pelvis. Nice. And from here, the right hand comes into the right hip and the left hand comes up and to the left. So we're going to try to get as deep as we can towards that left. So we get that nice stretch into your left side. Keeping the chest open, trying to avoid to sink forward. We are not sinking in here. We pull in the lower back. We're doing actually that movement that it gives lots of problems to your lower back as well. So really engage. And then if you want to get into your advanced or intermediate position, just extend the opposite arm and give a little bit more challenge to your obliques. As you inhale, come towards the middle, and as you exhale, change towards the other side. Left hand into the left hip and the right hand up and over. We're going to stay in here, or maybe we're going to extend the left hand. Keep breathing. Keep creating a space into your right ribs. Inhale as you come towards the center. And as you exhale, bring the hands into your lower back. Now, different options here. Some people might have neck problems. You might put lots of tension into your neck. So in order to avoid that and give any kind of tension, we're going to actually keep our chin tucked. And we're going to just bring the shoulders back, press into our lower back. Remember, pelvis forward. Bend the knees if it helps you to maybe bend a little bit more. And open the chest. Keep the chin tucked. If you feel like going a little bit deeper, what we're going to do is support and maybe also drop the head back. As soon as it gets too much, inhale and come all the way to your neutral position. Now, there's one more option. If you want to really encourage that core to be active, the glutes to be active, palms in front of your chest, no support into your lower back, only if it feels okay, do this one. Keep the core engaged, bend the knees and maybe start arching your back. Inhale as you rise all the way up towards the sky. So there are your options. Now, as we exhale, we fold forward again. In here, remember your different options for your fold forward. You can get as deep as you want into this fold forward. If that doesn't work for you, bend the knees, open the gap in between the feet. Rest your elbows, your arms, your head. Now we're gonna find a way to place the palms parallel to your feet. So in order to do that, you might not be able to keep your legs completely straight. You might need to be able maybe to bend the knees and then place the palms into the ground. We're gonna step the right foot back, right knee into the ground. And as you inhale, bring the hands all the way up. Now in here, instead of collapsing forward, we're going to bring the hands into your hips and tuck the pelvis once again. So you will feel like your right bum cheek is active. Inhale and rise the hands up. And as you exhale, right hand into the right side of your yoga mat and the left hand up and over. Just make sure we are not leaning forward. Then if you feel like reaching the floor is an impossible mission, which it might happen, we're going to use a block or anything that rises the floor off from the ground. So it makes it feel like the floor is a little bit higher. We're going to place the right hand nice and stable into whatever you're pressing. And the left hand up and over. We're going to change towards the other side. Use the block or don't use the block. Just test it. See how it feels. With the next inhale, bring the hands all the way up towards the sky. And as you exhale, palms parallel to your feet. Now from here, we're going to step the left foot back. We're going to stay into our plank. Then this just might be too much for some of you, which is fine. We just drop the knees, okay? And we're gonna try to hold it in there. Then to make it more challenging, maybe we can try to bring the palms wider, sideways, and try to maybe get your body weight a little bit more forward. Then if you feel like with the knees on the ground is not enough challenge, maybe lift the knees and hold it in there. Knees on the ground, maybe palms towards the front of the yoga mat. And from here, come back into your normal plank. Now, different options for your side plank. Left knee into the ground and the right hand up and over. The right foot is gonna maybe come up and we're gonna hold it in there. Then, if this feels like enough challenge, just stay here. Make sure, by the way, your shoulder is above your wrist. Then if you want a little bit more, we're gonna come back into that normal plank and we're gonna roll into the into the left, opening towards the right. Doesn't really matter which side you do now because you need to do two sides. Always to balance out right and left. So we're gonna try to bring the right foot on top of the left. Keep the hips as high as you can. Don't drop them down. Push up. Bring the right hand up and maybe lift the right leg as high as you can. Then if you want the next level, reach the right toes and maybe extend the leg all the way up. Taking a few breaths wherever you are. Doesn't really matter where you are. Just be honest with yourself and see how it feels today. Change towards the other side. So do exactly the same. See if you want to stay on the ground with the right knee. See if you want to come to your side plank, just pressing one foot on top of the other one, or maybe lifting the leg as high as you can. Maybe holding your toe. Keep facing the hips up. And slowly come towards the middle. Knees on the ground. And now here is really important. So in order to do well your Chaturanga, we're gonna start dropping the knees on the ground and learning how to bring the chest in between the hands. So it's about bending the elbows inwards, keeping them close to the ribs, bringing chest into the ground, bringing the belly into the ground and lifting the chest. Then in here we are lifting our chest with our buttocks and with our core, and obviously with our legs. So I would like you to try to test something. If I'm about to ask you to lift your hands, you should be able to keep the chest where it is. Keep breathing in there. If at any point you need to drop down, just drop down. Inhale as you lift up. And as you exhale, drop down. A few more times. Inhale, lift. And also try to bring shoulders as away as possible from your ears. And all the way down. Now, if you want a little bit more in here, we're going to leave the chest, bring the hands sideways, and we're going to start just moving the arms forward and back. Extend them forward, keeping the chest at the same level, but because there is more weight now in front of you, it will be more challenging. Bring the hands all the way back, maybe interlocking the fingers and opening your chest a little bit more. One more time, release the hands, extend the arms forward. Bring the hands back. Take a few breaths. As you move and change into this transition. And release the hands parallel to your chest. Drop the head down. Take a few breaths in here. Come into the knees. Come into your child pose. Taking a few breaths. Noticing how your body feels and your breath is all the time. Keeping your mind busy into this moment. Palms in front of your yoga mat. Tag the toes. Come into your downward facing dog. Walk the hips. And from your downward facing dog, now one more time you're going to choose your technique to come to the front of the yoga mat. So we already talked about it. Baby steps, maybe one step at a time, maybe bending the knees and jumping. It's up to you what you're going to do. I'm going to choose to lift the left leg up as high as you can, keeping the hips square, toes pointing down. Welcome to hold it, just to build up strength and stretch into your right leg and strength into your left and your core, and then a step in between the hands. Now in here, we're going to bring the hands as high as you can towards the front of the yoga mat. Feel that strength and that strength that you need to have into your front of the leg, because your weight, it will be a little bit slightly higher into the left leg than into the back leg. And the back toes are into the ground. Just hold it in there. I'm just going to play with our hands around, same that we were on the floor, maybe extending the hands back, Stretching and opening chest. And maybe folding on top of that left leg. Inhale, come up. And then in here, if you want a little bit more, we're going to extend the front leg. Find your balance. And I'm going to give you different options. Hands into the ground, making sure the knee is completely straight and going as deep as you feel okay. Bringing hands back. If the floor feels really far away from you, you can use blocks sideways. And you can bring them as high as it feels like you need it, keeping your back completely flat. So notice the difference between keeping the back flat and arching your back in there in order to try to get low. So you want to avoid this at any cost. You want to keep your back nice and long. And if keeping your back, you can still go down, lower, do it. Now, from here, your extra challenge is going to be to reach hands behind you and maybe try to fold as deep as you can on top of your front leg and bring the knuckles as high as you can. Keep breathing. Inhale as you come up. Bend the front knee. Bring the hands up. Tuck the pelvis. Remember that tucking into the pelvis. And as you exhale, bring the hands all the way down into the floor. Step the right foot forward. Just swing a little bit side to side. Inhale as you reach with the hands all the way up towards the sky. Tuck the pelvis. As you exhale, hands into your lower back. Choose the level that you want to be at. Open the chest. Inhale as you reach the hands all the way up towards the sky. And as you exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, halfway lift. So halfway lift, you can do it in different options as well. First one is bringing the hands above the knees, never pressing, just supporting in there. But actually, if you're about to lift your hands, your back is still in the same place. So your glutes need to be active. You should feel a very deep stretch into your hamstrings. Back completely flat. We are not popping it up. Just nice and straight. Shoulders back. Then if you feel like you can keep that posture, but keeping the fingertips into the ground, just do that. So instead of coming from the fold forward all the way into your knees, you could be in your fold forward and then just a little bit looking forward, but changing the position of your spine. As you exhale, fold forward again. One more time, bend the knees if you feel like you need to. Step the left foot back, left knee into the ground. Inhale and rise the hands up. Tuck the pelvis in. We're going to do a slightly variation from what we did before. So as we inhale, we're going to lift the hands up. Tuck the pelvis still in. Left hand into the left knee and the right hand is going to come back. We're going to hold a twist. If that's enough for us, stay there. If you feel like you want a bit more, maybe lift the back leg and hold your toes with your right hand. Left toes, right hand. You can do exactly the same with the other leg. Inhale as you let go the toes down. Bring the torso facing forward, hands into the ground. Step the right foot back and change. Left foot in between the hands, right knee into the ground. Inhale, rise the hands up. Tuck the pelvis one more time, rotate. Maybe lift the back toes, reach your toes with your left hand. If your knee is uncomfortable, that's quite often to happen, just fold blanket or anything or a pillow and just bring it underneath your knee as a support. Release the toes, bring both of the hands towards the front of the yoga mat, step the left foot back, come into your plank, and then here you choose if you want to do the full Chaturanga or the variation that we did before, where the knees are dropping into the ground and the chest in between the hands to come into your upward facing dog or baby cobra. Then, if you want to do the Chaturanga, I'm just going to guide you through. Come into your plank, make sure wrist above shoulder, your belly is not sinking, your bum is not sticking up, it's right in the middle. Now from here what we do is shift your body weight forward, just rock into your toes, bend elbows, keep them close towards your ribs, keep that plank, and then as you come down, then come up and start arching your back, keeping fingertips spread, the lower back engaged, your glutes engaged. Press in front of the feet in order to lift your thighs off, the quadriceps off from the ground. Shoulders away from your ears, opening your throat. And shoulders above wrists, that's really important. Tag the toes and come into your downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths in there. Resting into your downward facing dog, or remember, resting into your child pose. Always the possibility of dropping the knees down and sitting into your heels, dropping the chest down. Taking a few breaths. Now from here we're going to place the palms into the ground, tag the toes, come into your plank, come into your downward facing dog. And now we're going to look in between the hands and we're going to jump, step or baby step, whatever you feel like. And sit slowly, bring the arms forward and finding the way to open the hips to the side and maybe dropping the bum into the ground. Then that's one option. If you really want to go for it and find a challenge for you today, I suggest you to try this option with 2 blocks. Bring them towards the side in the front of the yoga mat. Then we're going to come back into that downward facing dog, but with the palms into the blocks. We're going to look in between the hands and we're going to aim to jump through those blocks and find a way to sit slowly and control. We're going to bend the knees, look in between the hands, and I'm going to show you by demonstration. We're just going to jump through those gaps and we're going to try to sit as slow as possible. Then, I suggest you, when you start trying this, to have plenty of space around you, to not be scared of falling. It's okay if you fall. And then maybe to do a little pause in the middle if you feel like this is too much. So the little pause in the middle, it will be jumping into the middle and then back. So you jump through into the middle, then forward and sit. Just make sure we are really actually pressing the blocks and bringing the hip as high as you can. It's like, imagine you trying to hold those legs off from the ground. Okay? It's not easy to do. It requires lots of practice, but it's something that you can build into. Okay? So now, however you got in here, doesn't really matter. We're gonna stay sitting into our glutes. Foot flat into the ground. We're gonna hold our legs from underneath our thighs. We're gonna find our balance, lift off the toes from the ground, and try to find maybe the balance into 90 degrees to start with. Holding the legs. Then different options. You can play with the legs around and maybe try to extend one leg at a time. With the support of your hands, make sure the chest is sticking forward, shoulders back and down. We are not up here. We are not rounding our back. So we are up there. And then if it feels like this is too easy or you want a little bit more challenge, maybe let go the hands and keep doing it without the support of your hands. Maybe hold both of them. And that's the last option for you. If you want to become more challenging, bring the hands above your head. And slowly release down. Drop the arms, pass your foot, opening a gap in between the legs as wide as it feels good. And just dropping the head in there. Taking a few breaths. With the next inhale, reach with the hands all the way up towards the sky. And we're gonna do one more time. So choose what's the level that you want to take today. See how it feels. If your body is shaking, if your core is being challenged, that's good. If your legs, they've been challenged as well, is also good. And do it as it feels that is okay, working on your breath. And when you feel like you need to let it go, cross the legs, bring the hands in front of you, make sure the hips, instead of collapsing back, are forward. Maybe sit a little bit more forward, and then start walking the hands as forward as it feels okay. If you feel like reaching the floor is not an option for you today, not yet, maybe take a pillow or anything that will bring the floor higher. And just rest maybe on top of that pillow that you have chosen to use. Focusing on your breath. And being aware that yoga is a journey. So it's not about how much you can do today. It's about how much of practice you build up and how far you will get from today to a month, to 2, to a year. It's all building up. So now before you finish your yoga practice, you choose if lie on your Tsukasana or come into the position that we were before, where we are in our Tsukasana. So we cross our legs, place hands on top of the knees, palms facing down, thumb and index finger pressing, touching each other, and the other 3 fingers pointing down. Maybe if it feels good. So this is a mudra that we use to bring our concentration more inwards, more inside into our body. If you feel like actually you need to lie on your back and it's gonna make you feel so much better, just lie into your back. Just relax the legs, relax the toes. Bring the shoulders as away as you can from your ears, palms facing up. And at this point, you actually kind of stop watching and just concentrate on relaxing and letting go everything, all you hold in. noticing that your body maybe needs a rest, your mind also needs a rest, and giving it what it needs. And I hope you enjoy the class, and I leave you here. Thank you very much. Namaste.